Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd look at the Super Wildcard that I picked up at a car boot sale, was it last week, a couple of weeks back or last month, recently anyway. Now I will point out this is attempt number 2 at filming this video. I did actually film this once already, and unfortunately the memory card in my camera corrupted and died. I couldn't recover the footage, so this is attempt number 2. What it does mean, I mean, what I was doing in the original video was, does this thing actually work? I mean, if you remember from the car boots pickup video, I paid a tenner for it. What I've done is, this is my mate Rob's Super Nintendo. I do have a Super Nintendo which I picked up off eBay a while back, which I picked up dirt cheap, which just shows a black screen. I don't know where it is at the moment. It's in storage at the moment. I also have a stack of faulty Super Nintendo main boards, so the intention is I will go through that at some point and see if I can get my own working Super Nintendo out of them bits. And car boot a couple of weeks ago, I actually picked, with that in mind actually, I picked that up for, I think I paid £1 for it. I mean, I know that seems a lot for a, what is it, FIFA 96, but carts for these things are getting very rare in the wild, so just as a test cart for messing about with it, it doesn't matter if it gets damaged or anything, it's fine. Like I say, it was only, I think it was either £1 or £2, it weren't more than that, so I do have a test game, and I can show them it does actually work. I'll switch the Super Nintendo on, you can see it all, the game works, the Super Nintendo works. Just shut that off now. And this does actually work. Like I said, I was going to, in the original video it was a full testing because we didn't know whether this thing worked, and I did do a live, a test on camera to show did it work or didn't it work, and indeed it does. Obviously we've lost all that footage, so we can't do that now, so what we couldn't do, what I didn't actually do in the last video, let me put that down, was actually, I went through all the menus in this and like the built-in game and had a play with it. What I didn't do was actually test whether the disk drive worked on it, for the simple reason, from what I've gathered, you can actually power these things up without an external supply. But if you actually use the disk drive in it, it's going to put a hell of a lot of strain on the internal power supply in the Super Nintendo. I didn't know what voltage or what power this thing actually needed until I actually got inside it. And basically it's the same as a Super Nintendo. There's a little bridge rectifier in there, and it wants about 9 volts AC in it, and I have actually dug out a couple of 9 volt AC power supplies, so we can actually in this video see if the disk drive in this thing works, and then you never know if it doesn't work. We've got another video seeing if we can actually either replace the disk drive or actually get it working. What I think we'll do then is I'll power it, well, in fact we'll see if one of these power supplies is going to be suitable. I've got an Atari one here. What's that give out? That's 8.5 volt AC. Can't see what the actual current rating is, but I think that's for like a Atari disk drive, so that should be okay. And I've got one here which I think is a bit beefier. I think that's a 9 volt one. I think that's off an old answer phone or something. 9 volts, 1000 milliamps. Again, that should be. In fact, we'll go with that one. I think that's probably a better bet. Obviously, with it being AC, providing the connector fits, it should work. We'll plug this in. I think I've got a spare. I think I've got a spare hole down here, or at least something I can unplug, which isn't going to cause a problem. I can unplug that laptop for now. I'm not using it. Plug in that power supply, so that should give us our 9 volts AC for the Super Wildcard. power on the back there. And let's power on. Is it going to come on? No. Let's try that again. Let's try there we go. Let me just I'll zoom you into the I'll zoom you into the screen, and then you can have a look at the what this thing does, and we'll go through the menu on it. Oops. Let's try and get you fairly centered up on it. Right, there you go. You can see that now, can't you? I'm sorry, I can't get the camera quite square onto the screen with the way I've got the tripod at the moment, but you can read that. So basically, yeah, this thing amazingly does work. Well, it gets to this point. You can I have actually put a game in, and it does actually read a game in, so that part of it works. Let's say what I haven't done. Oh, that's not good. Well, it was working. Let's switch off. Perhaps it doesn't like the disk drive power. Try it again. It's either that or it's got there's a loose connection somewhere. Let's come back on now. But let's anyway. What have we got? What's the first menu? Wildcard options, run program, program transfer, battery RAM transfer. We'll go into that later on because I've actually had to remove the backup battery from this thing. Again, that's something we lost the footage of. But these things basically have a little barrel battery. It's exactly the same as the battery used in the Amiga 500 Plus, and it does exactly the same thing. It leaks all over the board. I was really fortunate in this one. It has leaked, but the leakage is not severe. It's not severe at all. Let's get out of this. This is what I was interested in. The discs. This format a disc. Right, this is what I want to try and do. See if this thing is actually capable of formatting a disc. And I've got some 3.5-inch floppies here. Now, I'm guessing it's a high density drive. I haven't actually checked, but we'll see. I've got some high density, and they are Sony. They use discs, these, but they've only ever been written to once. I got a couple of hundred of these discs from a it was a little office place that did office and accounting that shut down years ago, and they're old accounting backup discs. So they were only ever literally written to once and then put into storage. So even though they're 20 years old, I've not found a bad one yet. Anyway, let's see if this thing can format a disc. It's obviously still got some issues because I said it cut out them, but it's taken the disc in there. The must admit the drive mechanism seems a bit gooed up, so I think we will have to possibly do something. Let's see if it can format this disc. Right, so well, it can format up to 1.6 meg. The 1.44 meg discs. Let's try 1.44 meg. See if this thing can actually format it. Yeah. What we might try doing just for a bit of fun. See if this thing is actually functioning. I'll format a couple of discs up. I don't know how many we'll need, and we'll just see if we can perhaps transfer FIFA onto floppy disk and boot it off floppy. That'll prove the machine actually does work properly. I don't know how many discs I'll need for it. I don't know how big FIFA is. I mean, 96. It's quite, it's midway into the Super Nintendo's lifespan, that, isn't it? Oh. I presume that's not, it's obviously got some issues. Now, it weren't showing these issues. last time I fired this thing up, when I did the last video, it was actually running quite well. Let's, I don't know whether it finished that format or not. Let's try. Well, let's switch it. Let's put the game in. Well, I'll zoom you out a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And get you down a bit. So I've put the game in. Let's fire it back up. And again, no, it's not doing anything this time. Let's try reseating it. See if that'll make a difference. So I wonder if it's got some connection issues. In fact, actually, there is some corrosion on the little PCB that goes between the edge connector on the main board and actually down into the Super Nintendo. We'll look at that in a minute when I actually crack this thing open and we can have a look inside it. Let's just see if I'm not holding out too much hope. It'll probably crash again, but let's see if we can transfer onto this disc. Ah, well, it recognises that disc as formatted. Program transfer from cartridge. Program transfer to disk. New file. FIFA Soccer. Auto. So I'll probably need more than one disc, and we'll get part way through it. But let's just see if this thing does anything. And it's crashed again. So it's definitely got definitely got issues, but that's nice to know actually. Like I said, when I tried it last time, it wasn't doing any of this. It didn't seem to keep crashing and playing up. So at least we do have something that I think we need to possibly repair. Let's try switching it back on again. Yeah, so it goes so far, and then said when you get into certain things. Yeah, this is an interesting thing. It's actually got a demo built into it. Let's watch the demo in it, and then we'll crack into it, and then we'll have a look inside it. So, and then there's definitely going to be another video on this thing when we see if we can possibly actually repair it and get it fully working. I think that might have to wait though until I've possibly repaired my Super Nintendo, because this is just on loan. I did promise I would give it back this weekend. Let's have a look at this demo anyway. It's your standard Hacktro, just built into the console kind of thing. You can get back out of it. Well, that's the only problem. Yeah, once you've actually got in there, you can't get out of it. A bit of a pain. Let's zoom you out. Try resetting it. Even reset doesn't kill it. Power off. Anyway, I think what you really want to see is what's inside this thing. So we'll get the Super Nintendo out of the way. Get the pad out of the way. Oops. No power. Let me get you down. Get some more light on it, I think. And let's see if we can zoom you in. We'll zoom you in, and then you can have a good look inside it then. In fact, actually, I'm just going to pause the video, and I'm going to get a couple of tools which I've just realised I've forgotten, and I'll be back as soon as I've got the other tools that we need. So back very shortly. Right, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks, but I've got some screwdrivers. So, we'll have a crack up and have a look inside this thing. Like I said, I have done this once already, but it's interesting, it weren't showing them faults there. They have literally developed since I put it back together. But then again, I hadn't tried the disk drive back then either. So let's get inside it. Should really be wearing anti-static precautions while I'm doing this, but I do have a radiator next to me which I can touch and ground myself out. So that's 3 screws which are the same size and they're the sharp ones, and there's 1 screw here which is a little bit longer. So obviously you don't want to get them mixed up, or else you're going to make a mess of the case when you put it back together. So that's the slightly longer one, and there's not a lot of difference in them. Right, but the slightly longer one goes there next to the disk drive. Let's show you inside this thing. Okay, let's lift the cover off. And there we go. Let's see if we can get the light a bit. Is that light a bit better? I do need some better light. Like I said, obviously when I've got the new workshop all set up, the lighting will be far better for doing stuff like this. What I will say, let me see if I can zoom you in to show you this. Oops. Those caps are a bit how you doing, aren't they? I mean, they could have at least lied them down a better way than that. Obviously, they wouldn't fit upright with the top of the case on. That's what I'm guessing, anyway. Although, well, no, because the cutouts there, so they might have been like incredibly tight to the top of the case or something like that. So they kind of like just put them in bent over. But basically, we've got the power supply. This is how I knew I would get away with powering it on 9 volts AC. Let me see, just get you in a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. But basically, I knew we could get away with 9 volts AC, because what we've got the mains input there. We've then got a little bridge rectifier there, some smoothing, and then we've got the good old 7805 voltage reg there. So that's basically your DC. You've got AC in, low voltage AC input, converts it to probably about 10 volts, 12 volts DC, something like that, which then goes into that 7805, and we get a nice smooth and regulated 5 volts DC out from there. So that's basically what's powering the unit. This is the 32 meg version. Oh, hang on, let me get you. Let's zoom you. Oops, the wrong way. Let's zoom you out a little bit and bring you up a tiny touch so you can see kind of what I'm talking about here. That'll do. Right, basically this is the 32 meg version. I believe they did a 16 and a 32. And basically what you've got is you've got an add-on card here, which has got the extra 16 meg of RAM on it. We can actually remove that. It is rather dusty. It will need a good cleaning here actually. But basically it's just on a pin header. We can pull that off. And that's the memory on that card there. I presume there's 16 meg on board here somewhere, though I haven't actually spotted it yet. What is interesting actually, and I spotted this on the last, when I was in here last, is that IC there. Now, you know, all these that I've seen online, you know, like pictures of, you've either got, I think you've usually got like a mask ROM in there, or 2 EEPROMs. This has got the firmware on it. Basically, it's got the interface, the software, everything you can see is on this ROM. Now that looks like it's been replaced, and they've used a surface mount device on a little adapter board. That could actually be the RAM. I'm not sure. It looks like it might be RAM actually. It's KM62256 8L. Is that a LG-10, so is it 256k of SRAM or something like that? That's very. In fact, that could be your backup RAM, couldn't it? Could you be your battery backed up RAM? That. Then we've got. I'm guessing that's possibly the floppy disk controller. Just simply being by the fact that it's right next to the floppy edge connector there. That's a MCCS 3201FN, and then we've got another IC here. Now that's probably something custom. That's probably like the custom processor or something like that for this unit. It's just got a copyright 1992, and it says, I can't actually read it. It's something once. Then we've got what I think are some picks. We've got some gals. We've got a gal there. I believe from information I found online, there's quite a lot you can do with these things. They're not just like a piracy device. I mean, people have used them for homebrew development and all sorts. I believe there's various upgrades you can do to the firmware and stuff, and you also have to upgrade that gal there. I mean, I've got some blank gals and ability to program gals. I've also got ability to program EPROMs, so there is possibilities I could actually possibly upgrade this thing if I need to. What I think we'll do, what we'll get onto is the other problem. This could be what's actually causing some of the problems with it. Is basically, as I was mentioning, up there we have a 3.6 volt backup battery, a barrel battery, exactly the same as on the Amiga 500 Plus, and it has leaked. The corrosion actually on this is not horrendous. I've seen far worse corrosion on stuff that then batteries have leaked in, but there is a little bit on the board, and it does need attending to. So like I said, there is going to be definitely another video on this thing dealing with some of its issues, but we'll get the board out and you can have a squiz at the other side of it. I'll just take the floppy disk connector off, take the power off the floppy disk, and hopefully we should just be able to lift this board out. Yeah. You can see there's absolutely nothing really on the other side. Just one cap there, which is a little shoddily fitted. You can see the corrosion now. I basically just snipped the battery off to get it out of the circuit. Like I say, it only just started leaking. It wasn't horrendous, but you can see a little bit of corrosion there and there, because obviously I will desolder that properly and then actually remove it properly. Don't know if you can. I'll see if I can zoom in and see if you can actually see some of the. Oops, wrong way. Come on, in you come. I don't know if you can actually make out. There's a tiny, basically some of the wires here. Oops. Okay. Let me see whether. There we are. You can see now. Let me see if I can get it in the right light. Well, basically, some of the wires in this area around here have got a little bit of surface corrosion on them. You can see. And I don't know how well this can come out on the camera, but if you look at these forks here on this PCB, basically this connects the main board down to the actual Super Nintendo, and there is corrosion on these. Sorry, you can't see what I'm pointing at. There is corrosion down on these pins here, if you can see. So this could be why it's cutting out. It could just be as simple as we clean some of this corrosion off. And yeah, I mean it's on the other side as well. As you can, oh, there we go. As you can see there, there's it's not horrendous, but it's definitely there, and it definitely does need attending to. And again, same with the. This is really tricky to show you actually. Oops. Same with the corrosion around the board here. I think I'll have to go around it with some vinegar solution, neutralise it all, and probably just reflow some of these wires. Make sure that they're get the solder sucker on them, suck the solder that's in them out, and just reflow it. Just make sure that they're happy. Because I'm sure that's probably what the actual issue with this this unit is. Because apart from that, I mean, we've been considering it has had a leaking battery in it, and it was, you know, £10 from a car boot sale fodder. I think it's probably spent some time probably sat in a attic or a garage or a garden shed or something like that. You know, it has survived fairly well. There's no major corrosion on this side of the board. There's only a tiny little bit, and that's on this. It's a PEL. I thought it'd be a pick, but it's not. It's a PEL. I think there's a number of PELs on here. I think they're a bit like a gal. I'm not that familiar with Pels, I must admit. But this one here does have corrosion on the pins on both sides, obviously into the socket as well. It's not horrendous, it's very light, but it is there, so that's definitely going to need addressing. That capacitor's not mounted very well. It should really be tight to the board, and as you can see it's very wibbly wobbly, so at the very least I'll take that off and refit it. I may even replace it, or see what it's not exactly a main brand one, Capexon. So it might get some nice new capacitors. Again, these caps here, they're probably absolutely fine, but with the age of it, there's only, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrolytics on the whole thing. So it'd be daft not to just change them out, just to future-proof it. And basically, I'll have to take everything out that's in the socket, clean all the pins up, oh yeah, it's pretty disgusting on there. I think this could be what our issue was actually. In fact, are these not the power? The ones on the side there, are they not the power on the Super Nintendo cartridge? In which case, that very well could be what the issue is. But all this is going to need cleaning off. Yeah, and it's green and grim down in the actual socket there. Definitely not looking so good, that. So I think that's where our issues are actually coming from. Let's put this thing back together. And again, it probably has been damp, this, because if you look on the disk drive, we've got some corrosion on the top of the disk drive. Amazingly, the disk drive does actually seem to function okay. It did format that disk alright, even though the computer seemed to, well, the device seemed to crash at the last minute. It did actually seem to complete the format. The only thing is, when I put the disk in, the eject and the disc is very sluggish. I think there's some hardened grease in there, so we will go through and sort the disk drive out as well. I think people have actually put Gotex and things in these, but I'd rather keep it floppy, to be honest. I believe actually also, I mean, I don't know now because they've seemed to have cracked down on this thing a hell of a lot, but you used to actually be able to download the disk images from people that have actually used these captured games and uploaded the disk images to sites, and I think there was some software out there that allowed you to take them disk images and write them back to a floppy to actually be able to use on this hardware. But with the way it's gone recently, with a lot of these websites you could download old abandonware on and stuff, they've all been taken down. People have sued them for copyright, especially Nintendo. Nintendo are a bit, shall we say, keen on the whole copyright thing. A bit overly keen in my view, with the millions and billions that company make, but that's another issue. And we'll screw it back together. I don't want to lose anything because I won't be looking at it instantly. Like I said, what I don't want to really fiddle with this thing using Rob's Super Nintendo, because I thought it was a bit of a risk borrowing it to test this, but like I said, I suppose if I did break it, I could always repair it. But now we know it's got a few issues, but it does basically work. We'll set it to one side. There we go. That's all back together. We'll set it to one side and we'll have a look at when I can find it again. Digging that Super Nintendo I've got out, getting that up and running again, and then we'll have a bash at this thing. And at least we've got one game we can play on it and we can test everything with. So I suppose I'd better look for a few better Super Nintendo games. At least if I can get this working, see if we can borrow some of Rob's and copy them. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, it was just a quick little update video on this thing. Like I say, it's a pity it's take 2 of it, because I'm sure take 1 was better than take 2. We know, I never know. Actually, no, it wasn't, because in take 1, even with that corrosion, it actually performed. Apart from, like I said, we didn't test the disk drive, but it didn't do all that crashing and stuff. So it's quite good. We've done it again. It's actually had some issues, so we do have a future repair project there. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.